You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Pretty Little Liars After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Pretty Little Liars After Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Pretty Little Liars, our AfterBuzz TV after show. I am your host, Kelly, and today it was The Silence of E. Lamb. And joining me today, my beautiful co-host.
Hi, everybody. It's Stephanie again. How's everybody doing?
Hey, guys. It's Emma Kay. So glad to be back.
Yeah. So, Eddie Lamb was the focus of the episode tonight. He's dropping clues, but doesn't want to talk to anybody. Pretty sketchy, and then he's nowhere to be found.
He's very interesting.
He is. He's a very interesting
But
character.
a very vital piece of the puzzle, I feel like.
What do you think his whole part in this whole thing could be?
Well, he clearly knows way more than he's letting on at this point. Like, that we have figured out, that he is playing some role. He's the connector between Ezra and this whole world, it seems. I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting from him, is he's like the first one to call Ezra. I don't know.
Well, and he's the inside ears of Radley, and it comes back in every season. Something happens. Like, it always goes back to Radley.
And he seems like he's so comfortable being there. It's spooky. You know, you're in a psych ward, you know, and it's just like he feels so comfortable walking there at night and talking to people and doing his job. So I don't know if maybe he was a patient that, you know, graduated and turned into a job working there. So he probably has a lot of history and knowledge of what went on there, and specifically with Mrs. D.
I'm also really curious what his connection to the new roommate, the character that is accusing Arya of stealing.
Rhonda.
What his connection to Rhonda is. Because,
well, if she was there when if she was Bethany's roommate, then she's been there for a while.
Right.
So he's been working with her.
right, but does it go beyond work, I guess is my question. Does he have some sort of, because he seemed able to calm her down better than some of the other people that we saw at Radley.
Maybe.
Well, I would disagree. She seemed pretty ticked off walking away. I was surprised she didn't hit him or something.
But he was also one that befriended Spencer when she was in there. So he kind of has this kind of calming way, and I think that that's one of his things, is he kind of gets to know everyone and maybe he's the biggest piece of the puzzle of all, because he knows a little bit about everybody.
So he's like kind of the gossip of Radley, or like kind of the gossip holder of Radley?
Maybe like he's the box that everybody, you know, like keeps all the secrets.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, slowly letting some clues out, and now we don't know where he is.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
either he trusts people to give them the clues, or he's setting them up. I don't know which one to believe. Whatever
well, if
it is.
he's missing, I don't know so much if he's the one setting them up.
Yeah,
unless that's the thing, he wants them to look for him, and then that's the setup, which it could be. You know, with this show, you never know.
Exactly.
What do we think about Arya and her little job at Radley? How do you think she's doing there?
I mean, I think people are suspicious of her at this point. It's when you stay late your first day, it wasn't because she was really giving them an extra helping hand. Like, that was very clear, and I think, you know, Eddie knew that, and I'm assuming others noticed as well.
I don't think anyone else knows. I think he just noticed because he knows Arya's been there before, and she did volunteer with Spencer to read her books. You know, so that's why Eddie's like, okay, well, I know you, and you're not admitting to the fact that I know you, so something's up. What's going on, but I don't think anyone else was suspicious.
Well, I thought
her.
it was funny too that she forgot she had a name tag on, and he calls her name and she freaks out.
Man.
Yeah. But you know, it's everyone else there is just doing their job and going home. You don't get volunteers every single day. So it is, interesting why someone would want to volunteer at Radley versus any place else that they could in town.
Right. Well, and then she hides under Rhonda's bed and she finds the sketchbook. She finds Bethany's sketchbook, and kind of the whole point of her being at Radley, as we know, is they found this drawing that was left at Ezra's of Mrs. De Laurentiis and like a big demon or something behind her. So what did you get from that picture? Like, how did you take that? Was it that the demon was following her, or she was kind of the leader of it?
Well, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. But I thought it was just the indication it was a mirror image of her.
Okay. Or her shadow?
Yeah.
Because it was behind her.
I thought it was, just the link between her and we kind of see throughout the notebook that there's a lot of images of her connected to evil, and so it's that connection between.
And, we've had a lot of theories out there that she might have a twin sister, so I'm just...
We talked about it last week a bit.
Yeah, so it was confirmed that there is a twin on the show, and we don't know if they're going to go the traditional route and put, follow the book and how it was, or they're going to choose a different character. So it's interesting to, really try to dissect the whole thing and figure out who is it? Mm-hmm. Who has the twin?
I don't think they're necessarily going to go the traditional route, or in some way there will be some twist on the book. I think that fans are smart and they know that everybody knows what happened in the book at this point, and so they're going to do something to maybe root back around to the book, but I think there's going to be twists and turns to get there, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, and then we have, Spencer's parents and the divorce, and Spencer being like really upset about that, and Melissa's back, and her being very suspicious of Melissa to the point where she's got a camera outside Melissa's place.
I like that idea. Finally, something that they're, doing that's proactive, not reactive to, all the text messages that they get. So, and, what did they find on the camera? It was pretty interesting to see Alison just snooping around their house.
Yeah.
So, is she working with Melissa? Is she, I've always had feelings that she might be with Mona, just, using everyone else. Because I said it from the beginning, why would Mona help her out?
In the very beginning.
In the very beginning. So it's just I feel like they've formed that bond, and Mona really took care of it, and it's just this show and act they're putting on for everyone else.
Now, do you think because they made comments about her clothes being different and that wasn't what she was wearing at dinner and all of that, now do you think that they would go as far as to have Allie have the twin?
That could be a possibility.
Or is that too easy, you think?
I don't know. I think that might be too easy, but it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, it's something that we talked about last week on the show, if she was a possibility. I think it's definitely one idea, but every time I think I know what's going to happen with this show, it takes a different twist. So that makes me a little more like, oh, I shouldn't think that. I should think.
But we've thought that the entire series is that could be one of the possibilities. So it's just interesting. I think that because it's so obvious, I think that would kind of be the less obvious choice, had that, if that kind of turned out to be the one, just because you think, no, that's too easy, they'd never do it, and so I'd be,
and then it ends up being
her.
I mean, it reminds me of, I did the final season of Gossip Girl here at AfterBuzz, and we talked about all the time who Gossip Girl was, and it ended up being the person that you would ultimately predict. I don't want to say it in case spoiler alert, but it's one of those things where I feel like it could circle back around and be that obvious choice, but right now I would say that Pretty Little Liars is trying to surprise, shock, whatever you want to say.
Well, it looks like they're kind of going toward making Hannah kind of the bad guy. She's got her little rebellious look going on and a little bit of her rock and roll, kind of gothy look, and she's really, really over Alison.
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, you know, why is Hannah targeted all of a sudden? Because she went up against Alison? You know, I don't think it's what she necessarily said. It's just Alison trying to get back at her for, you know, not following her steps and not doing as she says, you know, not trusting Caleb and so forth. So, which is another reason why I think Alison is so much more involved, you know, on the dark side than what we think. And what we hope.
Well, and the thing about it is her confrontation with Caleb wasn't even bad. He didn't say anything bad. He just basically stated the truth. Like, you're right, I don't know you. I just know the mess that you leave once you know, whirl your way around somebody's life, which is true. Like, he wasn't, you know, didn't call her names, wasn't doing really anything except, you know, kind of stating what he's observed. And for her to call and, you know, like, reprimand Hannah and then basically forbid her to see him is just kind of goes back to the hold that she had on them before she left.
Yeah, well, I think with Allie, anyone that she doesn't know and she doesn't have dirt on, automatically they're a threat to her because she doesn't have anything to hold against them.
Well, I think it's anybody also that stands up to her and just doesn't take her stuff, you know, isn't easily taken by whatever she says, isn't easily manipulated, that I think she kind of has it out for.
I also think at this point in her life, she really wants back into that inner circle, into being with these girls, and anyone who's going to impede that, she's out to get. So by him kind of coming up and, you know, going against her, that's really going to kind of blow up, hopefully, not in his face, but I fear that that's what will happen.
So you think she wants to be a part of the circle and be friends with them?
I think she wants to be the leader again.
Which she still kind of is, because she's still, it's all still revolving around her, but just in a little bit of a different way, because instead of using, you know, kind of her meanness to get what she wants, she's going for the victim way.
I was going to say it's all about sympathy at this point, but she used to be Queen Bee. So I think she might be trying to get back that Queen Bee status rather than, you're absolutely right, the victim.
But I mean, now, do you think that her attack from the last episode was something that she was in on, if you think that she's working with Mona? That she could have done that?
I think
to kind of overextend her kind of victim thing she's trying to play out right now.
I think anything is a possibility with her.
Okay.
I mean, for God's sake, she faked her own death. So, you know, and was gone for how many years? 2, 3 years?
She was kidnapped.
Okay. I forgot. We need to be on Alison's page. I'm Team Hannah right now.
And it's like the more and more you hear her say the story, right? Everybody's just supposed to believe it.
Yeah, but I did appreciate that people are starting to see the holes in the story. We saw Hannah start to question it. Emily's mother was definitely not believing everything she was saying. She said, oh, I've talked to the police, you know, my old police contacts, and, you know, everything's not adding up.
Right.
And I hope what that does is kind of put that question mark in the other girls' minds, because I feel like at this point, Hannah's the only one really questioning Allie to the same, I guess, to that, like, greater level.
Well, I think she's the only one right now that doesn't feel sorry for her. I think that she doesn't at all. She is tired. She's tired, I think, is just the best way to describe it, is she's just really tired of all of it. And it brings out this side of her she doesn't like. And she doesn't want to be controlled. She doesn't want to have, you know, that kind of, like, hold on her the way that Allie had it before. And she's rebelling against that in all aspects as she can, and it looks like it's going to backfire on her if it goes the way that the preview shows us. But I mean, I don't know, we'll see.
Well, as I said, you know, I think Caleb is definitely going to be a big piece of the puzzle to help, you know, Hannah and the rest of the girls really figure out what's going on. He's had to deal with, you know, a whole different demon on the other side of town. So he's not scared. And he really cares for Hannah, and I'm really glad that they're trying to work things out. And
now, do we really think that them drinking together is the best way to work things out.
Definitely not.
Not a good example at all.
And how is Caleb buying beer by himself? I want to know that.
I don't know.
Man.
They've never done anything that's been normal as a couple, really.
Yeah.
You know, the way they started off dating and him crashing at her house in the basement.
That's true. I think that right now, though, the drinking is just part of this big rebellion against the person that Hannah was. She wants to find some other version of herself. I don't think this is the right version.
Right.
But there's something else going on there. I don't know. I mean, is it just because Allie, had pushed her into this life? Or I want to know what other issues are kind of coming. I feel like it's a large reaction to Allie being back. Like, I'm going to start drinking and being this, like, punk rock girl. Like, it kind of switches.
Or maybe they're just immune to coffee now.
That too. That's totally bad.
Well, I think it kind of goes for what the cliche thing is of drinking is you just want to forget what you're dealing with.
Exactly.
And it just kind of like eases the sting of whatever's going on, kind of gives you a little bit of that altered state of mind where it's not so serious. And I think that Caleb's doing that to forget about all the, ghosts and ghouls and all that he was dealing with in Rosewood. And Hannah's doing the same of the ghost of the person that Allie makes her. Like, maybe that's kind of what that is. And her whole rebellion thing is, I think when Allie was gone, she was more herself. And now she feels like she has to be this Alison version of that. And that's what I think she's fighting against.
Before it was food, she reverted to eating. And, that was her escape to getting away from her problems.
Right.
And now it's like, now that she's a little bit grown and she could, take a little bit more control of her life, she's sadly faced alcohol.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we'll see. I mean, she's, we've only seen her get sick once.
Yes. Which was because she saw Caleb. So, any girl that has ever gone through that, it's acceptable.
So maybe it's not going to, it's not going to get too bad. I don't know. But what about Emily and Allie's relationship? I mean, I know that, fans were wanting to kind of delve into that a little bit more. And this episode, Emily's mom, that was kind of the reason behind the dinner. She wanted to observe. She wanted to see the two together and see kind of what that whole thing's about.
Their relationship is so toxic that I don't know. I don't want Emily in that relationship.
I mean, I know last week we talked about that, or at least I said that I wanted Emily to find somebody who was good for her. And at this point, I'm not sure that either of the current women in her life are bringing out the best sides of her. I want her to find a partner, another girl who brings out something different in her, because I think that these girls are in some ways are holding her back. I mean, we can get into a Paige conversation later on, but with Allie, it's just falling into old pattern in a lot of ways.
Well, I'm glad her mom is seeing, the truth, and she's not telling Emily what to do, but she's poking holes in the story for her to realize it on her own. And I think she does that. She does realize that there is something wrong, and she knows it, but because she has so much loyalty for Allie, she can't make that step like Hannah can.
Right.
Because Emily has always been portrayed as the weak link. So now that Alison's back in the picture, it's like that much worse.
Right. Well, I think, too, that one of the best things that Emily's mom said tonight was, just because you saved her once doesn't mean you have to repeat it. You don't have to keep saving her. And I think that's kind of, in this little love triangle, that's what it is she's constantly having to make sure Paige is okay with everything and make sure Allie's okay. And she's kind of the one that has to be the strongest of them all. So it's kind of flipped around, and that's got to be very trying on her. So I agree. I think it would be nice to kind of let her have someone that's a little bit more balanced rather than, needing so much, whether it be attention or, whatever it is.
She has two pretty volatile kind of relationships going on, and it would be just nice to have some stability, I think. She's always such the grounding force, and
or
maybe
something that's just a little bit more fun and not so dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. You're in high school. We always forget. They're still in high school. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, who knows? Maybe Cindy. Oh, Sydney. Sydney.
Oh, well, let's talk about Sydney. Sydney and her little scandalous self jumping into everybody's conversation, fishing for info.
I have to say, we predicted that this was going to be the case, that she knew a little too much about everyone, and she's digging for it at this point.
Oh, she is, in such a very, very, very friendly way that makes them
I think Alison
open up right away to tell her.
met her match. Mm-hmm. She's gonna serve it on a silver platter for Alison, and you could tell Alison is worried because she doesn't know how much she knows. Mm-hmm. But having Jenna, Jenna's pretty powerful. Not being able to see, being blind. So imagine if now they have a team and Mona on their team. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of scared.
Well, and here's the other thing. Okay, so when Paige named names, so we know that Paige doesn't know Sydney's involved, right? She's kind of like their secret weapon, I guess, right? Yeah. So she doesn't know that she's involved in all of this. And it's just really interesting the way that she's going about finding out this information. She's not doing the, threatening and manipulating and stuff the way that Allie would do it. She's just being very friendly, and it's pretty interesting, like how you just being a little bit nice to somebody can go a long way because she's getting a lot of info.
And she doesn't have a problem kissing ass.
No,
that is the key point. Alison would never do that. And, Mona has a little bit of an ignorance and ego as well, but she does not have, coming up to Emily and kissing ass to her about the trophies and swimming, same thing with Hannah. So she has...
It's kind of rubbing on a little ego a little bit, just getting, and that's building a little bit of that fake trust. That's, here, I like this about you. You can talk to me about whatever you want. And it's working very well in her favor.
Yeah, she's finding ways to kind of get in with all the girls in different ways. The swimming and just finding kind of shared interests or ways of being kind. And I think these girls haven't seen that kind of kind in a while. And so they're letting her in very easily. And that's clearly going to be a mistake.
Yeah, well, I mean, as we see that it already was. Yeah. Because we find, Hannah in her, little tipsy state at the coffee shop, she divulges that they were all in New York. And it doesn't even say much other than after everything that happened in New York. Yeah. And that was just enough. That was all.
Well, Mona knew that. So it's like, I don't think it was that big of a deal because they knew that. Right. It wasn't a secret.
No, but for me, though, it's kind of like it bridged the gap. And that's what made it very interesting that was the text, because she knows exactly who she said that to. So I guess she was at the brew, and so anybody could have overheard and, whatever. But, I mean, that pretty much, points directly at Sydney. So yeah. I was really surprised that they did that so soon, because I feel like it kind of called her, put the spotlight on her a little bit pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it took not very long for her to go from new girl to someone I'm questioning, and that's an unusual move for Pretty Little Liars, for sure. They tend to take a minute and kind of have the character develop and then figure out, are they good or bad. It's very much a show that doesn't like to define things, but I feel like with Sydney, we're getting a pretty clear shot that this is not someone that you want in your friend group.
Definitely not.
No, not
She's
at all.
She's the eyes and ears now of, everyone in town.
Yeah.
So I want to know how, and I have a feeling she's connected with Ezra somehow, some way, and we just don't know what.
Sydney?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay. I can see that, because Ezra does have all this history with this group, and she seems to as well, so it's where they intersect in some point.
That would be interesting to see.
Yeah. I agree. So.
See where their families come from, if they know one another, because Ezra has an interesting story that I want to find out what really happened to him when he was a kid. What made him, go into writing and trying to, put his thoughts, and how that all turned to okay, let's focus on Alison now, and let's write a story about her.
It was, you know, we got a little tiny baby hint when he, like, the time he spent with Spencer was, you know, pretty interesting, watching that those two characters kind of bond with each other, and him reveal that originally he wanted to write a book about his family and his childhood and growing up with his brother, and finding out that your parents aren't who they thought they were, who you thought they were.
Which was a key point. Because I'm like, okay, well, what you know, how are they involved?
And, you know, the theater, we know, of course, from the flashbacks, you know, the theater where, you know, where Shauna was killed and all of that, that Allie was taken there by Ezra. But how did everyone else know? That, like, how did Shauna know? I mean, yes, she could have followed them and whatever, but it just kind of seems that there is more to it than that the family has a little bit more to do with it. And we already know his mom's kind of scandalous, so.
Yeah, it also harps back to our theory of being a multi-generational story.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I do feel like now that his parents could play some role, how do they know the other parents? Because there's not that large of an age gap. We always forget because he's a teacher and they're students, but really there's a 5 to 10 year age gap between them, so his parents could easily know of other parents and how this all
and if
together.
Spencer's, you know, if Spencer's dad was in it, and, you know, Allie's mom, it definitely, you know, there is that connection there. And the, you know, for the while that we thought that Arya's dad was possibly involved in that, so that, I mean, it's definitely something we've continued to talk about, and I would kind of like to see that come more into play. And, you know, I was reading a comment on YouTube today about, you know, so tired of these, you know, like, absentee parents. Like,
I mean,
you know, where are they when your kids are getting attacked in the house and stalked and kidnapped and everything? Parents are nowhere to be found.
Definitely. But what do you guys think about Mona's involvement with the rat and Paige? Do you think it was that obvious? As she said, you know, was she an amateur to do something like that?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. I think it was someone, I think it could have been like an initiation trick for someone on her team, like one of her little minions to do that because of that, and just, but I mean, the tie-in where we see Melissa drop the rat, I think it's too easy.
Yeah.
And it's never really that easy. I mean, or maybe it is.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a terrible thing to do to someone. Let me preface that.
And it was in her swim cap, right?
Right. So it's like but it's it's not an A move. It's like it's smaller than that.
Right.
So in a way it does feel like exactly like an initiation or something that, or Melissa was involved in some capacity. Melissa is still one of those characters that I have no trust for.
She wanted to, you know, tell Spencer something so badly tonight.
Yeah,
that it was just like not coming out of her mouth about Bethany.
Well, what do you think? Because one of the things that Melissa was talking about, when she was talking about her parents' divorce, and it kind of led into this other thing where she was talking about it all boils down to love. And you had made kind of an interesting thing when we were watching, that maybe she's, you know, that it's a love thing with her and someone she was in love with. But I think maybe it could be just kind of the love for her sister, that maybe she's not, that she cares about Spencer a lot more than we think, and whatever she's done was to protect her. And that's kind of like what her mom had said about, you know, her dad, is that they were always trying to protect her. But it's just kind of gone so far that there's just so many lies. Like, how do you come out from it?
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's that. If, you know, it's a guy, if it's a girl, if it's Alison she's in love with. I don't know. I'm just like.
Do you think Melissa has it in her at all for it to be sincere? Or do you think that it's just sketchy all the way through?
I think it may have started out sincere. Like, she was taking a family value of protecting your own or what have you. And it's become this messed up, twisted thing. So I think in the beginning, it's a possibility. But now it's absolutely not the case that it's coming from somewhere good. Even if she claims it 100 times over, I won't believe it. Yeah.
And it looks like when she wanted to speak, it's more out of guilt versus anything else. You know, I think she just kind of feels guilty about whatever's gone on, and she's just tired of holding on to it. So I feel like it's a little bit more selfish than it is doing it for for Spencer's own good.
I agree.
I don't know. I don't
else?
know.
Did we miss?
You know, the big thing at the end with A, you know, we see, you know, A at the end with the invitation for Pam Fields to a wedding, Ella and Zach's, or the engagement party, I'm sorry, Ella and Zach's engagement party. Do you think that could have been her daughter? Possibly some kind of family thing?
Yeah.
And now A is going to go terrorize the engagement party.
I mean, how terrible. It's not. Yeah, not what you want.
Right.
I don't know. It was interesting because I was racking my brain back trying to think if we'd ever heard those names before in any capacity, and it didn't ring a bell for me, but I do wonder. A cousin of hers.
Yeah, I mean, if any of you Pretty Little Liars fans out there, if that rings a bell to you, if there's any, you know, past, you know, from, you know, early seasons, please let us know. Go to iTunes, download the podcast. Don't forget to rate it, and also on YouTube, and leave us comments and let us know, because we definitely love all of your theories and stuff, and they're so much fun to read.
Yeah, I've been reading all of them all week, and so much fun. You guys have amazing ideas that like we don't come up with, because again, we come in here straight after watching the show, so you guys have the opportunity to watch multiple times, and we get them all week, and I love reading them on Twitter.
It's so great. And continue to use the hashtag PLLABTV, because that makes it so much easier for us to retweet, so we really appreciate you guys doing that, so thank you. There's lots and lots of good stuff there.
Yep.
So I can't wait to read more stuff. All right, so we've got Caleb and Hannah, who look like they're reconnecting, putting the booze aside and getting things back together.
I mean, they were on the reconnection train. She was just like, forget about the other guy. I'm in it with you.
Yeah. And it looks like it's going to kind of be those two against, you know, the team. Because I don't know, I just kind of... Poor Hannah, I think that she always kind of gets the short end of the stick with. She's always trying to prove herself, it seems.
But, you know, Caleb's back, and I think he's always been her support system, so she's not going to have a problem fighting the battle. And I think us maybe going as far as exposing Allie.
Yeah, I think that now she's reunited with Caleb. She doesn't... I don't want to say doesn't need the other girls, but she's seeing through Allie's lies, and she's kind of ready to step on her own, and it'll be interesting to see with like Caleb, for lack of a better term, like in her back pocket or like with her, that what she can accomplish. I'm excited to see that.
Well, I just have to say, one of my favorite lines from the episode tonight was when Emily went over to Hannah's to kind of force her to come to dinner, and she sees the beer on the counter, and she says, "This is when did your mom start drinking beer?" And Hannah says she washes her hair with it. And there was no question. It was just accepted. I kind of loved
Hannah,
it.
you know,
Is that a beauty
probably
tip?
would've-
Right?
Yeah.
I thought that was
Beauty
great.
tip I was unfamiliar with.
And she was just like, it was so natural. She just washed her hair with it.
It was such a quick response. That's what I love about Hannah, is her little quips. I love it. All right, well, let's get into some news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So I mentioned a few weeks ago that, of course, Pretty Little Liars has tons of nominations at the Teen Choice Awards, actually a total of 10, one of the most nominated shows this year. And Ian Harding and Keegan Allen are head-to-head in the Choice TV Actor Drama category, so go vote for your favorite, obviously. But Keegan, who's, you know, adorable on Instagram, said that he hopes that Ian actually wins the award. He posted a photo of himself thanking his fans for the nomination, and he shared a dashing photo of Ian. Although, truthfully, I voted for this guy forever, my teen choice. So, really sweet, cute. Like, I always like it when you can, like, see they're still, you know, friends on the set, and that's adorable. So, really cute. Lucy Hale, we talk about her music career, I feel like, every week. It's going really well for her, though. But she still talks about that it's a completely different experience from acting for her, and that she's shy about her music. That she says, "I'm sort of shy about music, so none of them have ever heard any of it yet. Obviously, now it's been released, but she didn't let them hear it."
Oh, beforehand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So...
Interesting.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
She also performed at the Grand Ole Opry. I think we talked about her outfit, if I recall.
Yes.
But if you want to check that out, she's posted a video of herself performing at the Grand Ole Opry, which is such a big honor as a country star. So something
absolutely.
to definitely check out. She's also been on Good Morning America I think in the past few weeks performing. So if you want to see more of her music, that's something to definitely check out. And then, of course, we have the Pretty Little Liars Christmas episode.
I know. I'm so excited for that.
Amazing. Like, Christmas, it's always Halloween with Pretty Little Liars, but this year, Christmas. So Marlene King, of course, who's the executive producer of Pretty Little Liars, she tweeted out about the episode. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn queen.
Ooh.
Major PLL holiday clue.
Ooh, is there going to be a new queen bee?
That's exactly.
Ooh.
And so everyone's wondering, who is the newborn queen?
I say it's Sydney.
After tonight's episode, I would have to agree with you, but maybe some of our fans will think of somebody else. But I'm excited to see who it is. I'm excited for the Christmas episode. I think Pretty Little Liars the Christmas is going to be a crazy, because I feel like Christmas episodes are very like cheery generally.
Yes, this one's going to be dark. I know it.
I know. I'm excited about it. So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, how about predictions?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
We've kind of made a few throughout, but what do you have? What do you have?
I think Allie is more than friends with Melissa.
Oh. Okay.
That's gonna be my prediction.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with a hand.
Like shooting darts. I think I'll hit that one today.
Last week I did Ezra and Arya, and you know me, I like my couples predictions. So this week I'm gonna go with Hannah and Caleb and say that all of the drama with Allie is going to bring them closer together, and they're going to become the united force that we kind of saw in earlier seasons. We've seen them be divided and have secrets, and I think that we're going to see them be closer and not have as many secrets, hopefully, in the coming weeks.
Okay. I think that Hannah's going to get shut out because she is going to talk about and blame Sydney for being the one that told A about what she said about New York, and no one's going to believe her because Sydney's so nice, and they're going to think, no way. Maybe that's how it starts.
Interesting.
And, Hannah's just mad at Alison. She just wants to be with Caleb, and she's got this whole rebellious thing going on. So I think they're going to kind of turn on her a little bit and not believe what she says.
I like that one.
We'll see. I don't know. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. That's it for us tonight. We are so excited for next week and for the upcoming Christmas episode, as we said. So please make sure to go to iTunes, download the podcast. Please rate and comment also on YouTube. And don't forget to use the hashtag PLLABTV. And we will see you next week. You can follow us all on social media. You can follow me at Kellie with an IE 079 on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow me at Stephanie Wenger.
And you guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter at RealEmmaK.
All right, we'll see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.